Alright, back we are. I think I'm pretty good shape with the code, the enums. I didn't ask you to do enums. I just, kind of gave you a different way to do it. I'm going to go to resources. I'm going to call a new package out here called package pkg. And in this one, I'm going to park that class diagram. Spell it right. How about that? Oh, I don't have it installed on my machine. Huh. Well, imagine I put a class diagram there. The class diagrams do not belong in source code. Okay? So let's take a look at what belongs where with this archetype. Source code, class diagrams, JPEGs, video files, that sort of stuff. Test packages and unit tests, and test resources. Do not put test code here. Put test code here, and I'll show you why just in 2 seconds. Let's open up package, package, package account. There we go. I'm going to open up and create a package account in test here. So I got the same package, and I'm going to have, excuse me, a JUnit test case called account underscore test. Now the deal is the names for the test files have to either be prefixed or suffixed with this word, T-E-S-T, capital T-E-S-T. Otherwise, Maven's not going to pick it up when you try to test. So if you did it with TST or something like that, that's why you're not finding your unit tests. Click Finish. Alright, so I've got my before after classes, all that good stuff. Right now I'm just going to blindly run it. I expect it to fail because it's going to run because of this fail, right? Alright, so what am I looking for? It says in the test class, create an instance of an account. So here I am. I'm going to say public void first test. Okay, and this is going to create an instance of account. And that one says account A equals new account. Alright, I'm going to say a.set ID equals 1122. I'm just going to right by the test cases. It says a.balance, set balance, there we go, balance, is equal to 20,000. Next, annual interest rate is 4.5%. The interest rate, set interest rate, there it is. And that one's 0.045 because it's a double, right? Use withdrawal method to withdraw $2,500 and use the deposit method to deposit $3,000. Cool. So I say e dot deposit withdraw, and I'm going to withdraw $2,500. I know what's going to happen next, and then it says a dot deposit, and that should be 3,000, and that should probably give me a hiccup as well. Print the balance, the money, interest, and the date the account was created. Okay. Well, let's do that printing stuff later. What's going on with this one is withdrawal and deposit both throw a potentially throw an exception. Okay, so if they throw an exception, let's surround it with a try catch. Surround this one with a try catch. Okay. Now, if this throws an exception here, this is a fail. Okay. So if this is not, in other words, 20,000 minus 2,500, that's not an exception. That should be cool. That should work. If this throws an exception, it's a fail. Failed. Can't type tonight. Okay. And again, if this deposit works, this deposit didn't work, it failed. Fail. Good enough. Okay, get rid of the to-dos. Cool. Let's try to come up with some kind of assert. So, assert true. Now I'm going to just do a regular assert. Assert equals, there we go. Assert equals a dot get balance is get balance, comma, 20,000 minus 2,500 is 17,500 plus 3,000. That's 20,500, I think. And when you're using this, when you're using doubles, you got to give it an epsilon. In other words, down to that rounding amount. Cool. And let's save it and see if it runs so far. Cool. All right. So did what it's supposed to do. Ran an assert, got green. Green means it ran, it did not fail, and any assert worked. Okay. So how do I know if it really tested? I'm going to say close others. I'm going to go back over to here, go back over to account, back over here, and then I'm going to run it with. Oh Christ! You know what? Let me pause and I'll push that ECLEMMA. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So I installed ECLEMMA. I run it. I get a bunch of reds and greens. Let's see why. The reds mean, or the greens mean, it ran that bit of code and it executed fine. The reds mean it didn't. It's not that it didn't fail. It didn't fail because it never got executed. So I expect this not to get executed and this not to get executed. The yellow means it was tested, but it didn't meet that criteria, so it couldn't be caught. But it did try. Okay. So all my stuff worked here, but back in account, the stuff that's red and green, same reason. If it's green, that means it actually executed that code. If it's red, that means this didn't get executed. I didn't test the 2R constructor or the 3R constructor. And you see the flaw in this is this date created. This probably should have been here, right? Can I do this? I wonder. Can I do that? I guess I can't do that. I can't do super in this, I'm sure. Yeah, it's going to like one or the other. So, yeah, let's try that. And super like that. How about that? All right. So now the date is created. Before, the date was only created if I ran that constructor. All right, let's try it again. I expect the same here. Now, that worked. There we go. This never happened. We may do that on a different test. That getter's not set. That getter's not used. This one, if the withdrawal, it never did this because I didn't test that yet. It never did this because I didn't test that yet. All right, so let's go back over here. I'm going to do a source format. Cool. I'm going to copy this test. And I'm going to call this test. Find it again. Bad withdrawal. Okay. What was the constructor for account? The constructor for account was if I pass in ID and balance. Right on. So if I pass in ID of 1122 and balance of 20,000. That means I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And the interest rate is not part of the constructor. That's just the way it is. That has to happen. So then instead of 20,000, let's make it 1,000. And A dot withdraw, we're going to try to withdraw 2,000. Now in this case, A dot withdraw, I don't want to surround with a try catch. You see? I don't want to surround this with a try catch because I want this to throw an exception. I'm trying to force it to throw an exception. 1,000 and 2,000, this should throw an exception. So in this case, I'm going to add a throws declaration. But I want to tell JUnit to make sure that this is what I'm expecting to see, which is an account exception. Okay, right on. And frankly, I'm going to say should have thrown an exception. Cool. And expected, it's not exception, expected. There we go. Run this. Still green. Still green because now, I mean the debug, I'm sorry, I meant to do this guy. Cool guy. And now it did run this. And it did create that. It worked. This is throwing that exception. And this didn't run because this failed. That's exactly what I expect to see. If you did this and failed here, or took this out, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to run it. Now it'll go red because it's going to give you a message saying it expected an exception was raised, it wasn't unhandled, blah blah blah. Put it back, it's expecting that exception. Same thing we could do for this and say bad deposit, right? And then blah 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 deposit. And for deposit, I'm going to deposit -$5, which shouldn't happen, right? Can't deposit -$5. It's still an account exception. That works. Now, here's the deal. I really didn't test to see if that was called over correctly. All I did was blindly get an exception and throw it up. So instead, what I'm going to try to do is get rid of this throws exception for a second, and then surround it again with a try catch. And in here, throw E. Okay. And then it's going to require me to put that back. But before I throw E, I can look at it. I can say assert true. Assert equals, equal E dot account. Nope, E dot get amount, comma. The difference between 1,000, the amount I was trying was 2,000. So in other words, I'm trying to assert that I actually was trying to withdraw 2,000. Is it assert equals? Did I get it wrong? Assert equals. See if I got it. Kaboom, right? All right. So if I wanted to also say assert equals E dot get account, get A, dot get ID, and that one is going to be equal to 1122. That's the account ID. Does that work still? So this is me interrogating in the exception. Not E is the exception. Remember, we added the account as an attribute, and then we added in account has an ID. I could drill down to it. Same thing I can do with this one. I can do the same sort of. Here, do that. Drop that. Instead of the deposit, I'm going to put the withdrawal in there. And instead of looking for 2,000, I can look for -5. And the rest is the same. These aren't bad unit tests. All right, so what do we got? We've got an empty resources. I've got main, which looks pretty cool. I've got test resources. I'm just going to put an empty package out there for now. PKG. Empty. Cool. And the rest of this stuff is good. Cool. Let me pause right here because I'm going to do one more video about showing you how to do Maven builds and pushing to GitHub. And that'll be that. Thank you.